सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Okay. Yes, so this is the chapter. Sorry, the first verse. Yes. So this particular chapter is very important, although it may so appear that why an entire chapter dedicated for departure and another entire chapter dedicated for arrival. Generally, arrival and departure are generally uneventful unless there is some accident or there is some special thing happening. Here you see Krishna left from Hastinapur. There is no such great event happening there, and then he is reaching peacefully. There is no attack by some enemies or anything like that. Why is an entire chapter dedicated in the beginning of Bhagavatam on arrival and departure of Krishna? That is because the position of Krishna. You see, in this world, when ordinary people do ordinary thing, it is ordinary. What's so great about that? When extraordinary people do extraordinary thing, that is also normal. Like for example, if I, who nobody knows, take a broom and sweep on the street, it is ordinary. Okay, this person is an ordinary person, is brooming the street. When Narendra Modi ji, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he goes for inauguration of the world's biggest who's sharing this screen? Okay. So I hope I'm audible to all devotees. So let us continue from here. So why is it important? Why is it important to discuss an entire chapter on Krishna's arrival and departure? Is because in ordinary people do ordinary things, it is expected. Like I am roaming on the street. Narendra Modi going to open the world's biggest cricket stadium, that is also expected. He's the biggest, topmost man of India. But just imagine if Narendra Modi sweeps the floor or sweeps the streets of India and says Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. That comes in the newspaper. Especially that becomes a big news because an extraordinary person is doing an ordinary activity. Similarly, Krishna Leela, you will find a lot of pastimes where Krishna is behaving like an ordinary person. Like, for example, when Narada goes to meet Krishna in Dwarka, in Krishna's palace. So Narada wants to see how is Krishna managing 16,000 queens, although he's one person. So how can he manage a family of so many wives? Because each one of them have their own palaces. So when he went to one particular house, first particular house in the morning, so then Krishna welcomes him, makes him sit on the asan, washes his feet, and appreciates Narad Muni that we are so fortunate to have you in our house. And for Grihasthas like us, the association of saintly people like you is the only hope for liberation. So here, Krishna is actually showing how a Grihastha should actually behave in the Grihastha ashram. Similarly, there are many instances when Sudama comes to meet Krishna. Krishna goes out of his way and brings Sudama from the gate to his house because Sudama was a Brahmana and Krishna was playing the role of a Kshatriya. Krishna washes the feet of Sudama. And Rukmini Devi is putting fan to Sudama. And here, this is a very interesting picture. Sudama's clothes are torn. His bones are visible on the body because of his poverty. But here, the Supreme Lord is massaging his feet, washing his feet. And his wife, the goddess of fortune, is fanning Brahmana, the Sudama Brahmana. So here, the Lord shows how a Grihastha should be living. At the same time to time, we will see Lord Krishna performs uncommon activities to show that he is the Supreme Lord, like lifting of Govardhan, the very act of marrying 16,108 queens, and also how he maintains them. The same pastime where Narada goes to one particular house, he meets Krishna, then he goes to another house immediately, and there he sees Krishna is actually having fun with his children. He has sons and daughters, and he's taking care of them, playing with them. And he goes to another house immediately. There he sees he's performing marriage ceremony for his daughter. And then another house he goes, where actually he's performing one more yajna sacrifice for the Brahmanas and feeding Brahmanas. So Krishna is performing uncommon activity of simultaneously maintaining Grihastha ashram of 16,000 queens. So here we will see both aspects, ordinary pastimes as well as extraordinary pastimes. So this one event here, which is entering into Dwarka, it may appear ordinary, but then because Supreme Lord is doing it, it is an extraordinary pastime. Every act of the Supreme Lord becomes extraordinary. And to understand this, actually one needs to be a devotee. And it is not very difficult to understand because in this world also, like Prabhupada gives example. Once a man falls in love with a girl or a girl falls in love with a boy, then every activity of that person, like in one of our devotees, when he came to ISKCON temple, and when he came to ISKCON and when he met devotees, he read Bhagavatam, he started chanting Hare Krishna. All his friends, at least one of his friends, was always asking him, "Kya Krishna, 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 always Krishna, Krishna, Krishna you're doing?" So then he asked him, "You see, you're in third year now, engineering. When you were in first year, you fell in love with a girl, right?" He said, "Yes, yes, yes. So she was my first love at first sight." That's what he was saying. So then what happened? Our devotee asked him, "Then what happened?" Then what happened? I was actually thinking about her all the time. If class is going on, I'm writing her name on the notebook. If I'm eating food, I'm able to see her face there. While opening book, I'm seeing her face. I'm waiting to meet her. I'm waiting for the sun to rise in the morning so that I can go and meet my whatever girlfriend or. and eventually more time was spending outside the class with her than in the classroom in the classes. So our devotee said, see, this is a symptom of falling in love with a girl or a boy or for a girl. So similarly, when a devotee falls in love with Krishna, the same thing happens. So all time he can see Krishna, he will be doing some Krishna conscious activities or the other. And Krishna consciousness is so dynamic that there are wide varieties of activities which a devotee can perform and not get tired also. Even for neophyte devotee, even for a new practitioner, not a pure devotee, there is huge amount of activities that actually we can, even just hearing. For example, if some devotee says that I like to read, before coming to spiritual life I used to read novels, magazines, now I want to read. Just reading material is so much in Krishna consciousness. We have if you see Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, CC, then we have pastime books, Krishna book, and then we have Prabhupada Leelamrita. So there is no end to it. Then Acharya's literature. So there is actually no end to how much actually we can perform devotional service. So that's why this particular pastime of Krishna entering into Dwarka is of prime importance for us. Now let us start reciting and then we'll go ahead. So there are basically 3-4 sections in this particular chapter. First, how Krishna begins entering into Dwarka. And when he enters into Dwarka, what is the response of the Dwarka Vasis? And after entering inside, what all he sees. So Bhagavatam is not just talking about information. It is also cultural transmission. It tells us what kind of culture existed during Krishna's time. So as we go ahead, we will discuss that different. I think last week Braja Krishna Prabhu spoke about modern and Vedic society. Today also we'll be discussing a little bit about it, and then as we proceed. And finally, we'll be going. So this is like a camera which begins with Krishna at the gates. We will be following Krishna, what all Krishna goes through, what all Krishna sees, who all Krishna meets. And then eventually we'll go to palace where all the family members of Krishna, personal family members, they meet, how they respond, what kind of prayers, what kind of speech they offer. And finally we'll be going into Krishna's personal chamber. So today's chapter we culminate in Krishna's personal chamber when Krishna opens the door of the chamber and he sees his queens in the near the centerpiece of the chamber and the son of Krishna also. That is the climax of this entire chapter. So let us begin. Suta uvacha anartansa upavrijya sruddhan janapadan swakan dagmo daravaram tesham vishadam shamayan iva. Translation. Suta Goswami said, upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis, known as the country of Anarthas, Dwarka, Lord sounded his auspicious conch shell, heralding his arrival and apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants. So to understand what is happening here, first we have to know what it means to love Krishna and what it means to be separated from Krishna. Like we have example of Narada Muni. When boy Narada was in the forest, was performing tapasya, and for a split second, he saw the form of Vishnu. Now, from a tattva point of view or from a spiritual perspective, Vishnu and Krishna both are the same. But Krishna has 4 additional qualities over Vishnu also. They are Rupa Madhuri, Venu Madhuri, Bhakta Madhuri, and Leela Madhuri. So Rupa Madhuri, he is much more beautiful than Vishnu. Vishnu himself is extremely beautiful, as we'll see in this Narada boy's pastime. And then we have Venu Madhuri. There is one extra, that is the playing of the flute is a specific unique quality of Krishna. And then we have Leela Madhuri. The kind of pastimes which Krishna does, it is very rare and special. And Bhakta Madhuri. The kind of relationship, the kind of dealings with the devotees have with Krishna is special. Why? Because there are times when devotees are serving Krishna externally, and there are times where devotees may seem to take service from Krishna externally. Like when we have covered boys of Krishna, along with Krishna playing, they're playing in the pastures, and there is a point where there is a competition, and if one who's defeated, he will carry the victorious on his shoulders. So Krishna gets defeated, and he carries covered boys on his shoulder and running around in the pasture. So here it appears that the covered boy is taking service from Krishna. But actually he is doing a service to Krishna only, because Krishna loves to be defeated by his devotees. So this is the Leela Madhuri. So the Bhakta Madhuri. So these are the 4 additional qualities which Krishna has. Still, when boy Narada saw the spiritual form of Vishnu for a split second, all his senses become enlivened. All the spiritual senses were awakened, and it was such a joy, it was such happiness for the soul. Just like a magnet is there. The magnet, when you bring it closer to iron filings, you can see if it is too close, it will stick. But if you keep it a certain distance, you can see iron filing shaking, which means the attraction is started. They're about to get attached to the magnet. So when he saw Vishnu for a split second, all his spiritual senses become enlivened. But then immediately the Lord vanishes. And there in the translation and even in the purport, Prabhupada writes that the boy became extremely disturbed, as if he got something extremely valuable and then he lost it. So this is the feeling of separation from Krishna. And in Gaudiya, especially in Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, the success in spiritual life is to remain a perpetual failure. Which means, what does this mean? Success in spiritual life in Gaudiya Vaishnavism is to remain perpetual failure. Means the most advanced of devotees, they will tell, I don't know Krishna. I don't have love for Krishna. Shunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahina. So starting from the topmost devotees, that are the gopis, till all the acharyas, like Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri was actually constantly reciting this prayer, that where are you, Dwarkanath? I'm not able to see. So this is the beauty of loving separation from Krishna. Even in our life, we see that if like for example, brothers and sisters, they're staying together in a house from childhood. Eventually, as sister gets old and when she gets married and she leaves the house, so in the childhood there may be a lot of fights and quarrels, and especially in teenage. But once the sister gets married and goes to her husband's house, then after many years, when again the sister comes back, there is a lot of joy in the heart of the brother and even sister also, because there was separation for some time. Unfortunately, in today's society, because of Facebook and smartphone, we are always connected. That is also a curse. We'll discuss about that ahead in future, why it's a curse. But that makes practicing Vedic, we gradually come to that stage. So here in the purport, in the what's happening in the translation here, the moment he came, he sounded his auspicious conch shell. So he took his huge white conch shell and he blew the conch shell. And as soon as he blew the conch shell, all the dejection in the heart of the inhabitants. What is this dejection? This dejection is the love of separation, the blissful pain of separation from Krishna. Like when Krishna would go to herd the cows in the forest, all the gopis, the elder gopis and the younger gopis, they would be feeling separation from Krishna. When is he coming back? Once he comes back, all the covered boys will be feeling separation. Right now we have to go to sleep, and tomorrow morning only we can see Krishna. They'll be waiting for that. So this kind of dejection is what was felt by the Dwarkavasis, and that dejection was taken away when the Lord blew the conch shell. So in the purport, Prabhupada is, whatever I just mentioned, Prabhupada is talking about the same thing. There was some amount of melancholy. If you see this line here, melancholia means the separation, the pain of separation. So Prabhupada further, the next shloka, let us read the shloka. Sa uchchakashe davalo daro ap urukramasya darsho nashonina dhatmya mahana karakanja sampute yatabjakande kalaham sa utsvanaha. The white and fat bubbled conch shell, being gripped by the hands of Lord Krishna and sounded by him, appeared to be reddened by the touch of his transcendental lips. It seemed that a white swan was playing in the stems of the red lotus flowers. So here, the moment the Lord touched the conch shell and blew the conch shell, there are 3 analogies given here. In the purport also, there are 3 analogies given. One analogy, one understanding is that as the conch shell touched the lips of Krishna and Krishna was blowing the air, blowing the conch shell, the whole conch shell became reddish because of the touch of Krishna. This is the direct translation. Further, Acharyas and Prabhupada has mentioned that if you see the devotees, they are compared to swan, Hamsa, Paramahamsa. Hamsas and crow. This comparison is given in the first canto. I think we already read it before in the previous chapters, where non-devotees who don't have any taste for hearing about Krishna, they want to hear about the refused remnants of sensuous topics. Literally, Prabhupada says that, which means the eating, sleeping, mating, defending matters. That's what they want to discuss. Whereas devotees who want to hear about Krishna, they are like swan. Whereas non-devotees want to hear this garbage kind of thing, they are like crows. Nothing against crows, but that is their nature. They go to the, you'll find them in dustbin. Whereas swans will be found in the lake with a lot of lotuses, especially. So here example is given, just like a lotus, just like a lake, clear lake is there with a lot of lotuses. There is a swan. Sometimes the swan is so ecstatic, it puts his neck, long neck, amidst the lotus flowers, lotus leaf, stem of the lotus flower. And in that whole situation, the swan itself looks like a lotus. It becomes so beautiful, it itself becomes like a lotus. Similarly, devotees of the Lord who are Paramahamsas, they become so attached to the lotus feet of the Lord. The lotus is compared to lotus feet of Krishna, and the swan is compared to Paramahamsa devotees. So when the Paramahamsa devotees become attached to Krishna's lotus feet, they also become extremely joyful, fully spiritualized. Like a red hot fire is there, you put iron into it, the iron becomes fiery. Similarly, devotees become completely spiritualized. And the third understanding here given is that nothing in this world is material. Everything is potentially spiritual. Material means we are not able to see the connection with Krishna. Spiritual means we are able to see connection with Krishna. So that's why that adhikar is required. When it comes to Prabhupada, he was able to see spiritual in everything. Like there was a situation where Prabhupada was sitting and giving class in 26 Second Avenue, early days. So one drunkard came, and all the audience, for them, it is a culture shock. This Swamiji in the middle of a Bauri is talking about some Krishna, is giving some examples about car, body, soul. So for them, it is a culture shock. They're grasping it. As they were hearing the class, suddenly a drunkard comes and says, I brought something for you. You're doing good work. I brought something for you. Prabhupada is telling him, sit down, sit down. He says, no, he walked away. He comes back with toilet paper and put something in the bathroom, put something near the sink, and he walks away. Then Prabhupada says, just see. The propensity to serve, even it is there in a drunkard. So Prabhupada was able to see spiritual potency even in a drunkard. That is the power of a spiritual personality. There are so many places where Prabhupada opened temples which were slaughterhouses. Some places were actually resorts. So the resort was taken over by devotees, it was purchased by devotees, or some donations were given. And Prabhupada actually made the whole resort into temple. And a swimming pool was emptied, and that was made into Brahmacharya ashram. So there are so many examples. Slaughterhouses were made into temples. Why? Because Prabhupada was able to see the spiritual potential material. Because so, in the name of being Yukta Vairagi, or in the name of being transcendental, we may end up doing things which may harm our own spiritual life. So initially, we need to distinguish, okay, devotee, non-devotee. Okay, this is good, this is bad. Like when Prabhupada saw Charlie Chaplin movie in the plane, Prabhupada said, just imagine, Charlie Chaplin is so funny. How much more humorous will be Krishna, whose spark this Charlie Chaplin has got. So even while watching a movie, Prabhupada is conscious of Krishna. But in our case, that may not so happen in the initial stages right now. So we have to be careful. And as we progress in spiritual life, the distinction between spiritual and material vanishes. And that's actually called as the stage of bhav and prema, where you feel that every person is a pure, only one person is not a pure devotee, that is ourselves. That is called as the Uttamadhikari stage. So here Prabhupada is explaining the same thing. There are three analogies. Prabhupada is explained it in the purport. Going ahead. Tam upashritya ninadam jagat bhaya bhayavaham pratyudyu praja sarva bratra darshana lalsaha. Translation: citizens of Dwarka, having heard that sound which is fear personified in the material world, began to run towards him fast, just to have a long desired audience with the Lord, who is the protector of all the devotees. So in the purport, Prabhupada talks about वलयो रवेर्दीपम इवा धृताः आत्मा रामं पुनः पूर्णकामं निजलाभेन नित्यदा मृत्युल्पुल्लमुख प्रोचुर हर्षगद्गदया गिरा पितरां सर्वसुहृदम् अवितारमिवार्भकाः. Citizens arrived before the Lord with their respective presentations, offering them to the fully satisfied and self-sufficient one. Okay, this is interesting. When the citizens came to meet Krishna, they did not come empty-handed. They came with the best what they had. If someone was a flower garland maker, he brought the best of garlands. If someone was a tailor, he brought best of clothes. If someone was a confectioner, that is sweet maker, he brought the best of sweets. And whom were they offering it? They were offering it to Purnakama, a person who has no desires. Krishna has all the desires fulfilled by himself. That's why he's called Supreme Lord. But they brought that gift to show their love. Like just like sometimes devotees' birthdays are there, and we are thinking, bro, what to give him? No, suppose some devotee is rich, and his birthday is there. Bro, what to give him? He has everything already. But if you just take some prasadam for him, he has the power to make that sweet every day in his house. But because you gave it with love, that love is what he takes. Similarly, I remember my spiritual master tells a pastime where he was a small boy, and he has two brothers, which means three brothers and mother and father. That's the family. And one day there was mother's birthday. Now, as we generally know, at least in my case also, I always forget the dates. Especially my mother's birthday also, I tend to forget. So all devotees, on this, since all family forgot that mother's birthday is there. And morning ho gaya, afternoon lunch also over, and they're all talking as if it's an ordinary day. And she's waiting, someone will wish me, someone will wish me. But she's not saying also anything. And last at 9:30, suddenly, my spiritual master, as a small boy, he remembered, hey, today's mother's birthday. But already 9:30 now. What will I give her? This small 10-year-old boy. He runs into the garden, breaks a rose flower from her own garden, and gives it to mother and says, happy birthday. And she becomes so happy. She takes the flower and puts it to her heart, puts it to her head, embraces him, and cries tears. And she says, this flower is more valuable for me than a golden necklace, a diamond necklace. Where did that flower come from? It was stolen from her own garden. But she is able to appreciate the love with which it was given to her. So similarly, all the devotees brought the gift and gave it to the Supreme Lord, just like as told in the translation. These presentations were like offering of lamp to the sun. Yet citizens began to speak in ecstatic language to receive the Lord, just as gods welcome their guardians and fathers. So just like offering a lamp to the sun is the source of all light in the universe. So today, if cotton and oil has the capacity to burn and produce fire, it was actually taken from sun only. Sun actually heats all the things in this world and eventually transform it and produce heat out of it. But we offer it to sun not to compete. A lamp cannot compete with the sun, but as a medium of offering love or offering respect to the sun god. The same thing they were doing here in Krishna. From Krishna and to Krishna they're offering it. And finally, they were speaking as if they're receiving their word or their His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj from airport, waiting for coming from the exit point. So one family was there, one mother and one boy, maybe 8-year-old boy. And the moment from far he could see that his father is coming out of the exit point, he started running towards the father. Now there was a security check beyond which you were not supposed to go. You're supposed to wait. So he ran, and the security guard tried to stop him. He did not pay any attention. He just went, because a small boy, 8-year-old boy, he went under his leg, ran straight towards his father, and this security guard ran to catch him. Security in charge told him, it's okay, it's a small boy. And this boy ran and went and embraced the father. And he was holding the father tightly, because maybe from a long time he had not met his father. Father might have gone abroad or something. It held him very tightly. Papa, father also was holding him very tightly. Then eventually he came out, and with his wife, they went back to home. So same situation is here, where all the Dwarka Vasis are like the children of Krishna, and now they are welcoming their father. Yeah, the same thing is explained here. Then what happened? Na tasme na tas sadangri pankajam virincha surendra vanditam parayanam kshema ichchata ihicchata param na yatra kala prabhavet para prabhu. The citizens said, now comes the glorification of the citizens, by the citizens to Supreme Lord Krishna. Citizens said, O Lord, you are worshipped by all demigods like Brahma, the four Sanas, that is Sanat Kumaras, four Kumaras, even the king of heaven, that is Indra. You are ultimate rest for those who are really aspiring to achieve the highest benefit of life. You are the supreme transcendental Lord. Inevitable time cannot exert its influence upon you. So if you see here in the translation, okay, maybe it is in the next one. So here it is mentioned that these Dwarkavasis, they understand that Krishna is the supreme Lord. Remember, in Dwarka, the mood for worshipping Krishna is awe and reverence. In Vrindavan, it is intimacy. So you'll never find Dwarkavasis climbing on Krishna's shoulder or fighting Krishna, defeating Krishna. They definitely love Krishna, but that is in the mood of awe and reverence. And naturally, if you have awe and reverence for someone, this is the kind of speech it will come. Whereas if you see gopis, they are actually chastising Krishna. When Krishna left, they are telling to Krishna, you as Ram, you killed Vali from behind. How can we trust you? So these are the kind of words gopis use to chastise Krishna, because their mood is intimacy. Here the mood is awe and reverence, especially the citizens of Dwarka. So they are telling here. So one thing important to understand here is that Krishna is the ultimate rest for all those aspiring for achieving the highest benefit. So in this world, we see Bhagavatam says, Nate vidu swartha gatim Vishnu. Everyone feels that if I can achieve this, we'll become happy. It is like climbing on a neem tree. Okay, huge neem tree is there, a lot of neem fruits are there. And you sit on the first branch, you pluck the neem tree, neem fruit, bite it. What is the taste? Bitter. Then you feel, no, maybe the low hanging fruits are bitter, higher branch fruits will be more sweet. You go to the next branch, top branch, and there you pluck the fruit, bite it, still bitter. You feel, no, I'm not yet reached the peak. Let me go above. So like this, from the top to bottom, every fruit on the neem plant or neem tree is bitter only. So similarly, in this world also, people think that, okay, right now I am just a team player or just a trainee. Let me become permanent, I'll be happy. Become permanent, then you feel, no, I need to be team lead. So you become team lead, then I'll be happy. Then you say, no, I want to be manager. You become manager, I'll be happy. So the whole situation goes on till you become CEO. And then you realize, ultimately I have to just take beat bag and chant. That will make me happy. That's about how things work in this world. And last, Krishna says, the translation says, inevitable time cannot exert its influence upon you. Which means, time I am. Krishna says in Bhagavad, Kalosmi aham. Krishna himself is time. So how can time have destructive effect on Krishna? Right? Because Krishna himself is time. So time cannot have any. There is nothing in this world which is not free from influence of time. Even when devotees are appearing in this world, they also accept the power of time. That's why even their bodies appear to be growing old. And at one point of time, they'll go back to the next place where Krishna wants them to go. So if they are agreeing to surrender to the time factor of Krishna, what to speak of the different peoples of this world, like all of us and so many other people in this world. So let's go to the next translation. Bhavayanastvam bhava vishwabhavana tvam naiva mata surat pati pita tvam satgururna paramam chadaivatam yasya nuvritya kritino babu vima. O creator of universe, you are our mother. Why mother? Because you give us everything. Just like a mother nourishes the child or children, similarly the Lord gives us our bodies. He takes care of everything that goes in the body. See, in our body, there is something called as voluntary function, involuntary function. Like for example, moving our hands, moving our eyelids. These are voluntary functions. We have control over it. Heartbeat, digestion, purification of blood, transfer of oxygen, carbon dioxide in the body. None of these things are under control. It is taken care by Krishna himself. Plus, he gives us food, varieties of food, and then he knows, we have strong desire to enjoy, so we'll definitely overeat and our stomach will get spoiled. He has produced medicinal plants also. Plus, he has given all the different jewels, gold and emerald and diamonds and everything. So he has given full facility for us to stay happily in this world. So you're our mother, you are our well-wisher. Why well-wisher? For a person, the best well-wisher is his parents. But then at one point of time, they also pass away. But the Lord is one person who stays with us from body to body to body to body, always waiting to come back. Like when we are trying to preach to someone, if someone is not interested, we try, we follow up, we try, we follow up. And after some point, we feel, okay, he's not interested. What can we do? We pray for him and we go ahead. Because we don't have so much capacity. But Krishna can go with him no matter where he goes. For next 100 lifetimes, he may be atheistic. But Krishna stays with him and fulfills his desire. So he is his well-wisher. Lord, Father, as Father actually is a maintainer. So similarly, the Lord maintains us. Spiritual master, as they say, Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. So Lord gave instruction to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The Lord gave instruction to Uddhava in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The Lord came as Hamsa and gave instruction to Lord Brahma. Similarly, there are so many places where Lord plays the role of a guru and ultimately is a worshipable deity. So for you following in your footsteps, we have become successful in every respect. We pray therefore that you continue to bless us with your mercy. So by following the footsteps, as I said, whatever situation we are facing in our life, it is temporary. Agama, apayina, anitya. But if you are following in the right direction, it is like we are going towards perfection only. Each one of us, depending upon what is necessary for our purification, Lord's put us in different situation. But ultimately, we go to the same destination. So we can happily susukam kartum practice Krishna consciousness. Going ahead, next. Aho sanata bhava. No, sorry. Aho sanata bhavata smayat vayam trayvishtapanam api dura darshanam premasmitam snigdha nirikshananam pashyema rupam tava sarvasaubhagam. Oh, it is our good luck that we have come again today under your protection by your presence. For your Lordship rarely visits even the denizens of heaven. Now it is possible for us to look into your smiling face, which is full of affectionate glances. We can now see your transcendental form full of auspiciousness. So the devotees here are extremely happy and they're expressing their happiness for being able to see the Supreme Lord. Because Lord was playing the role of a human being on the planet Earth. So naturally, all the demigods had to come from their planet to see Krishna here. Whereas Dwarkavasis were seeing Krishna on a daily basis. And still, as it is mentioned in the purport translation here, Smithas Snigdha Nirikshamanana. Snigdha means like sticky. We have ghee, the ghee, cow ghee, it is sticky in nature. So similarly, that kind of a sticky, or I won't say sticky, that kind of a affectionate, strong bond or strong, see there is dryness and there is wetness. When we take prasad, if it is too dry, there is no taste in it. That's why devotees put ghee also sometimes to make it more liquidy. So that kind of a juicy relationship is there between Krishna and his devotees. And they're expressing their gratitude for being able to see this transcendental form, which is all auspicious. Yar ambujaksha parasa, yar ambujaksha pasasa rabba bhavan kurun madun vata surad dridikshaya tatrava pratima kshano bhavet ravim vinakshnor ivanattavachyuta. O lotus-eyed Lord, wherever you go to Mathura, Vrindavan, Hastinapur to meet your friends and relatives, every moment of your absence seems like a million years. O infallible one, at that time our eyes becomes useless as if bereft of the sun. So this is, as I told you, the pain or blissful pain of separation. They're expressing here that you're going for Mathura, and in those days, the traveling would take months actually. So Mathura, Vrindavan, Hastinapur, they're all very far from Dwarka. Dwarka is in Gujarat at that time. So Mathura is in Delhi, Vrindavan is in Delhi, all these places are in such distance from Gujarat that it will take many days to go and come. So in those few days, what to speak of days, gopis, they were actually criticizing Brahma. They were saying that we want to see Krishna's form continuously, but Brahma is not a very good manager. You know, Brahma makes the whole creation. No? He has not made this body properly. No, he has given these eyelids, which close every couple of minutes. And in those couple of minutes, it closes for only a fraction of a second, nimisha. Fraction of a second. Krishna for that fraction of a second. That's why we feel Brahma is not up to the mark. He has not done a good job making this material world. So if such is the level of love, what can we say if devotees are not able to see Krishna for months together? So that's why they are actually expressing their heart. Going ahead now, yeah. Katam vayam nath chiroshite tvai prasanna drashtya kilatapasoषणं जीवे मते सुंदरः सशोभितम् अपश्यमाणा वदनं मनोहरं इचि चोदित वाचः प्रजानां भक्तवत्सलः षण्वतोरुग्रहं दृष्ट्यात् वितन्वतन् pravishtapuram. So there he says, "Oh master, if you live abroad all the time, then we cannot look at your attractive face, whose smile vanquishes all our suffering. How can we exist without your presence?" Upon hearing their speech, Lord was very kind to citizens and devotees entered to Dwarka, acknowledging their greetings by answering glass. So now by this he entered into Dwarka. And as he entered into Dwarka, what happened? Madhubboja dashahara kukurandaka vrishnibihi atmatulya bale guptam nagair bhogavatim iva. So there is a place called Nagaloka, which has a capital, which is Bhogavati. So as Bhogavati, the capital of Nagaloka, is protected by Nagas, so Dwaraka protected by the descendants of Vrishni. Who are they? Bhoja, Madhu, Dashara, Araha, Kukura, Andaka, who were as strong as Lord Krishna. So now comes the description of how did Dwaraka look like. Sarvartu Sarva Vibhava Punya Vraksha Lata Shramaihi Udyanopavana Ramair Mrta Padma Karashriyam. The city of Dwarkapuri was filled with opulence of all seasons. There were hermitages, orchards, flower gardens, parks, reservoirs of water, breeding lotus flowers all over. This is something interesting. I wanted to share what Radhakrishna Prabhu shared last week. That if you see modern science, it begins with the understanding that this world is not perfect. And we, with science and technology, will make it better. That is the premise with which science and technology progresses. That's why they say progress. But if you see, the more science and technology has progressed, as much benefits we have got, as much luxuries we have got and comforts we have got, that much necessities have become scarce. Like we have necessities, we have comforts, we have luxuries. So comforts and luxuries are there, but necessities have become scarce. Like for example, today, water is 20 rupees per liter. Internet is almost free, isn't it? Like if you go to Delhi, actually recently there was a news. Proudly people are telling, finally we have oxygen machines. You put some 50 rupees, 100 rupees, 300 rupees I think. For 15 minutes you will get extremely pure oxygen. There is a machine which gives you oxygen. Wasn't oxygen freely available? It is available. It was available at least until pollution came in. So water, air, good food, all these are actually necessities. So we have got comforts now. We have smartphone, we have Zoom, we have internet, we have YouTube. But then we cannot eat and survive. People don't die if there is no internet. People definitely will die if there is no water, food, and air to properly breathe. So here we see that like Bangalore is known as garden city. Right? Although it is now decreasing, it is becoming more of electronic city. But then still you will find in many places there are gardens and parks. A much more brighter picture was of Dwarka, where there are hermitages, orchards, flower gardens, parks, reservoirs of water breeding lotus flowers. And Prabhupada is giving a long purport here, which talks about how that in the modern system there is factories and mills. These factories and mills, what happens to a person when he works very hard in that, Guru Karma, finer sentiments are lost. And it's such a hard work to come out of that hard pain in the body. A person has to drink, he has to take liquor, he has to take meat because he needs energy. That further makes a person becomes more and more violent and degraded. Whereas in the Vedic times, all occupations were equally valued. Which means if you're a tailor, if you're a garland maker, if you're a sweet preparer, confectioner, if you are working in the army, if you are a minister, if you are a teacher, all were given their respective value and respect. So because of that, there was no competitive exams for a particular work. Naturally, there was a lot of work available and lot of opportunities and people are doing it. But today what has happened, because specific value and respect is given to specific occupation, lakhs of people write exam for few hundred jobs. And unless you get it, they will not give up. So 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, they keep studying and writing exams and competitive exams and everything. Why? Because only some jobs are given more value than others. Whereas in the Vedic times, as Prabhupada says here, there is a huge amount of opportunity for doing the work which you like to. And then we talk about all the different type of flowers and fruits Prabhupada mentions here. Then let us. गोपुरद्वार मार्गेषु कृतकौतुकपूरणं चित्रध्वज पताकाग्रैर् अन्तःप्रति and painted signs and slogans all combined to shade the sunshine. So all kind of welcome was done. It is like if you see when we welcome a guest, how we welcome a guest actually tells how we feel about the guest. Like when, especially when spiritual masters come to Bangalore, like Jayapataka Maharaj, like last we actually value Maharaj. So similarly, the garlands, the prasadam which we give, all that shows how much actually we value a guest and how much we want to associate with him. Next, Sammarjita Mahamarga Rathaparnagachatvaram Shiktam Gandajale Rutpam Phala Pushpakshatankuraihi. The highways, subways, lanes, market, public meeting places were all thoroughly cleansed and then moistened with scented water. And to welcome the Lord, fruits, flowers, unbroken seeds were strewn everywhere. So this was a culture at that time. They had to clean all the roads, and that's how they do now also when a PM or like when Trump had come to Gujarat, they try to do all that. Here there is extra things. They try to put flowers, fruits, and unbroken seeds. They are considered as auspicious. Prabhupada mentions that in the book. Dwari Grananam cha dat akshata phalekshubihi alankritam punar kumbhair balibir dhupati pakai. Each and every house, the door of the spiritual houses, auspicious things. What are the auspicious things? Curd, unbroken fruits, like we have banana and we have other watermelon, sugar cane, and full water pots with articles of worship, incense, and candles were displayed. Going ahead, Nishamya Preshatam Ayantam Vasudevo Rurascho Prasenascha Ramaschadbhuta Vikramaha Pradyumnascha Nuruddascha Sambhoja Bhavati Sutaha Praharsha Vegucha Shita Shayanasana Bhojana. Now our camera goes to the palace. So till now we started from the entrance, we went all across the street. Now we are reaching the palace of Krishna. And what happened there? On hearing that the most dear Krishna is approaching, Dwarkadam, magnanimous Vasudev, Akrura, Ugrasena, Balaram, Pradyumna, Charudeshna, whatever they were doing, they dropped it and ran towards, held their dhoti and ran towards Krishna to meet him. Prabhupada gives description of who are these personalities. It's a long purport. Varanendram Puraskritya Brahmane Sumangalai Shankaturya Ninadena Brahmagoshena Chadrataha Pratyujjagmurateir Harsha Pranavyata Sada. Conch shell bugles were sounded, Vedic hymns were chanted. They offered their respects, which are saturated with affection. So you can imagine those people who would see Krishna, just see Krishna from far every day, Dwarkavasis. They were so eager to meet Krishna when he came. What to speak of Dwarkavasis, palace residents who were dealing with Krishna on a daily basis, talking to him, laughing with him, seeing him every day, embracing him, touching. Varamukyascha shatasho yanestad darshanotsuka lasat kundala nirbhata kapola vadana shriyah. At the same time, many hundreds of well-known prostitutes began to proceed on various vehicles. They were all very eager to meet the Lord, and their beautiful faces were decorated with dazzling earrings, which enhanced the beauty of their foreheads. So here there is, just like say in our house, we have a dustbin where suppose you are writing something, you want to tear the paper away, or there is some pen which is not working anymore, you want to throw it away. Rather than throwing here, there, everywhere and making the whole house dirty, there is a designated place where you want to throw low class people who will not be satisfied in their homes. So for them, if that facility is not there, then they will try to entice and force good people also to become prostitutes. So to avoid that, the kind of system of having prostitutes were there. And these prostitutes, what is the definition of prostitute here in this case of that was the definition of prostitute in the Vedic times. And those prostitutes, although prostitutes, they had actually devotion for Krishna. Just like hippies, although degraded, but when Prabhupada chanted Hare Krishna, devotion arose in their heart. Similarly, these are prostitutes, but they also came to meet Krishna. Become Kshatriya, then after many lifetimes he'll become Vaishya, then Kshatriya, then Brahmana, Bahunam Janmanamanti Jnanavan Prapadyati, then Vasudevam Sarvamiti, then going back to God. But in the Gaudiya Sampradaya of chanting of Hare Krishna, irrespective of your occupation, you can purify your heart and go back to God. Like yesterday we had Narottam Das Thakur. Expert dramatists, artists, dancers, singers, historians, genealogists, learned speakers all gave their respective contribution. Being inspired by the superhuman pastimes of the Lord, they proceeded on and on. So when the king comes, yeah. So these people were there. Their main job was to glorify the king and appreciate the king, whereas the king would maintain them. This is not a blind flattery, because king by default, if you take role of a Kshatriya, and the bards who are in love with Krishna anyway, they are doing their duty with love. Going ahead. Bhagavan Statra Bandhunam Pavaranam Anuvartinam Hitadit Upasangamya Sarvesham Manam Adade according to one's position, which means if someone is like Vasudeva or Ugrasen, senior to Krishna, you would obeisance, pay obeisance, and touch their feet. If someone is like equal, then you would embrace and hold their hands. If someone is a junior, he will come and touch Krishna's feet, and Krishna will give blessings. So Krishna perfectly played Almighty Lord greeted everyone present by moving his head, exchanging greetings, embracing, shaking hands, looking and smiling, giving assurances and awarding benedictions, even to the lowest in the rank. That's why he was able to connect with everyone, because so much for Prabhupada, they were ready to do anything. Like we have example of Mandakini Mataji. So she was in France. So Prabhupada asked her, "See, I have gone to Russia. There is one boy, his name is Ananta Shanti. I initiated him. Go to Moscow and get married to him." And in those days, because Prabhupada actually genuinely cared for each and every devotee who was present. And all the early devotees of ISKCON Russia, most of them they never met Prabhupada, but they were so surrendered because they felt personally connected to Prabhupada. Like here, all the lowest in the rank also felt that they are actually having Shirbir Yujamano Nagyair Vandibishcha Vishatpuram. Then the Lord personally entered the city, accompanied by elderly relatives and invalid Brahmanas with their wives, all offering benedictions and singing the glories of the Lord. Others also praise the glories of the Lord. So Brahmanas came. So Brahmanas' prime duty chastisement of gopis, because that was an intimate love. But still, he definitely loved and respected the Brahmanas and their wives who came to offer respects. Then, Rajamargam gate Krishne Dwarakaya Kulastriya Harman Aruru Vipra Tat Iksha. So this is a common theme. I think even in Hastinapur also happened, where all the ladies would be at the top to see the Supreme Lord, and they were actually especially attracted to the Lord because for them seeing Krishna was Utsavam, Nayan Utsavam. It's a festival for the eyes. Just like devotees how they run picture of Krishna on our computer and mobile screens, but definitely we'll be hankering to go and see the deities. Just like the Dwarka women were running towards the rooftops of the houses so that they can see Krishna. Nityam nirikshamananam yatapi dwarakokasham. So this is one thing where generally familiarity leads to contempt. Like suppose every day morning you eat puliyogare or say chitrana or dosa every day. After 4 or 5 days we become fed up. Enough of this. I want some change. Similarly, even if you still they were not satisfied. That as they say in the Shikshashtakam, Anandambudi Vardhanam. The ocean of bliss is ever increasing. So this is the taste which the Dwarkavasis had. That's why they were Dwarkavasis, staying in Dwarka. Because they were not tired of taking darshan of the Lord because they felt connection to the Lord. So I was hearing one devotee was saying, if we are feeling tired going to temple and taking darshan every day, then that means we have yet to make strong connection with the deities or Krishna. Whereas those who's connected to Krishna or deities, you will find them. I remember I see so many grahasthas from our congregation. Every Sunday they are there in the altar. Every Sunday morning, Mataji is also, Prabhuji is also. Especially Mataji during festival times, they would do so much decoration. Why? Because they feel the connection to the Lord. Shriyo Nivaso Yashor Kapalanam Saranganam Padambujam. The Lord's chest is the abode of goddess of fortune. His moon-like face is drinking vessel. So here, this is a very interesting comparison given here. The chest is there is a goddess of fortune. The moon-like face is drinking the vessel His arms are resting place for administrative demigods, and his lotus feet are refuge for pure devotees who never talk or sing of any subject except his lordship. That is one quality that is called as always Satatam Kirtayanti. Constantly they are talking about Krishna. They never get tired of doing it. Ghano yatarko dupachapavedyutehi. So this is an example given here. The Lord was moving on the in the palace. His head was protected from sunshine by a white umbrella. White feathered fans moved in semicircle. The showering of flower fell upon him from the moon, lightning, and rainbow. So this is interesting because when sun is there, we cannot see moonlight, and when again night time we cannot see rainbow, and if lightning is there, then moonlight is not clearly visible. But it looked like all four are there simultaneously. So Prabhupada writes, so Shastras give us some description by which we can try to understand Krishna with our material objects around us, our material experiences. But what it actually means to meet Krishna or see Krishna, we have to experience ourselves. That's why we have been given the chanting. Let's go ahead. Pravishtas from outside the gate. We went on the streets and then we saw all the culture, the gardens, orchards, and the decoration on each house, the lamps and the gifts which the Dwarkavasis gave. We went ahead straight into the palace where all the family members of Krishna dropped everything and ran towards Krishna. And then we further went at their feet. Mothers were headed by Devaki. And other mothers also were there. So he paid obeisances to his parents. And then Tata Putram Ankararopya Snehastuta Payodaraha Arshavivalitaatmanaha Shishichur Netrajay Jalai. The mothers, after embracing their son, due to pure affection, milk sprang from their breasts. They were overwhelmed with delight, and tears from their eyes wetted the Lord. So this is called as extreme Vatsalya, where they have so much Vatsalya, they forget he's a grown-up boy. Like in our case also, when we, like all the devotees, when they go home from a long and small cut in the hands, we say it's okay, it's a small cut, but they cannot tolerate. They take some haldi and then put something on that, put a band-aid. That is actually a reflection of the love which Dwarkavasi, the Devaki and Yashoda feel for Krishna. Ataivishat Swabhavanam fullest extent. His wives lived in them and they numbered over 16,000. So this is the beauty of Krishna. As I told you in the before, Krishna does something which is ordinary. Krishna does something which is extraordinary also to tell us that he is not ordinary. And that is this. Even in the world which we live today, depending upon a person, he can maintain. In Islam country, it's allowed. But here Krishna is showing what kind of capacity he has. 16,000 queens. And not that the 16,000 queens are put in some concentration camp, big, huge palace, and 16,000 people are like stuck there. There is no hygiene, there is no proper facility. Each one had a palace. Place to go. So first is he's doing favor on them, but because they are pure devotees, he is ready to serve them also. This is the quality of Krishna. We go ahead, we'll discuss more about Krishna's qualities. Patyapatim proshat grahanupagatam viloke sanjata mano mahotsavaha. And home after a long period abroad. The queen got up at once from their seats and meditations. As was socially customary, they covered their faces shyly and looked about coyly. So which means they had the ornament of shyness. Prabhupada says, it's mentioned in the purport also, that shyness is the ornament of nothing on the legs. So from knee below, she was actually having nothing, just shoes. So Prabhupada was asked by reporter, why do you shave your head? Then Prabhupada asked her, why do you not, why do you shave your legs? Prabhupada asked. Prabhupada said, it's better to have warm legs queens are showing how to be an ideal woman. The whole purport, whatever they just told now, Prabhupada is explaining about the Vedic culture. Tam atmajer drishtibir anantaratmana duranta bhava parire vire patim viruddhamapyasravat ambu netrayor vila embraced him visually. Then they sent their sons to embrace. But O chief among Bhruvus, though they tried to retain their feelings, they inadvertently shed their tears. So this actually is something important to understand for us. In spiritual life, especially in the spiritual world, emotions are given the topmost priority. Millionaire and boy is a poor fellow. Then boy says to girl, we cannot get married, I cannot give you all these facilities, you are born like a princess. So what girl says, I don't care for the facilities. You just give me a small house, and that's how the dialogue starts. Of course, eventually as child is born and as the realities hit them, many of them realize the mistake. So here also we see they wanted to embrace, but then they were shy, although there is no one else there. They were shy. So then what they do, they send their son to Krishna, because a son is coming from the womb of a woman, which as an extension of her body. So she sent the son, and the son embraces Krishna. But although they were happy that their son is embracing Krishna, also they were wanting to cry, but they stopped their tears because they felt it is inauspicious, because Krishna is leaving. That's what their love for Krishna. Last couple of verses. Yadyap asau pravashya gato raho gatas tatapi tasangri yugam navam pade pade ka virame tatat padat chalapi yachir najala jahati karhichit. Although by nature always restless and moving, could not quit Lord's feet. So what woman can be detached from those feet, having once taken shelter of? This shows the attraction which the queens felt for Krishna. They were always with him. So naturally, when you live with someone for a long period of time, you take them for granted. But he is not so great also. I know his mistakes. I know his generally Lakshmi is called Chanchal, because you cannot hold her money. You cannot hold in one place. She keeps jumping from person to person. Only with Narayan is Lakshmi stable. That's why, if, as Prabhupada writes in the purport many times, if you really want Lakshmi in your life, worship Narayan. Then Lakshmi will be there with Narayan. Evam Nrapanam Mito Vadena Parato Nirayudaha. The Lord was pacified after killing those kings who were burdensome to him. They were puffed up, and with their military strength, their horses, elephants, chariots, infantry, he himself was not a party in the fight. He simply created hostility between the powerful administrator, and they fought among themselves, and he was like a wind which causes friction between the bamboos. So basically, here it is focus was kill those people who are creating adharma. Now, someone may say, is he partial towards devotees and he doesn't care for non-devotees? No. In killing non-devotees, he is actually liberating them also. So Krishna's quality is so good, Even if he wants to do bad, he ends up doing good only. Even if he tears Hiranyakashipu apart, kills demons, but he also causes hostility between demons and makes them to fight and rids the earth of unwanted military and unwanted sinful people. Like in the forest, we have two bamboo sticks. No one goes into forest and rubs them. Wind blows, they rub automatically, and there's a fire, and a huge amount of forest is cleared. Bhagavan Prakrito Yata. That supreme person of God is Sri Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, appeared on this planet by his eternal potency and enjoyed himself amongst competent women as if he were engaged in mundane affairs. So here it is said that some people frown upon that, and he went and many people have problem with Krishna breaking the rules in Mahabharata war. Although he appeared like a mundane person, all of that was his causeless mercy. Uddama bhava pishuma laval guhasa vidavaloka nihato madano sam. This is very important translation. It says that queens were extremely beautiful and their smiles and glances were all very attractive, which would make even a Cupid go crazy. The Kamadev, he would go crazy, but that could not budge Krishna an inch. They could not agitate the senses of the Lord. The Lord was perfect in himself. He could not be agitated. Because as it is said, Swakama, he can fulfill his desire. He doesn't need someone from outside to please him. Tam ayam manyate loko sangam api sangina atmaupamyena manujam yaprunovatyato buddha. The common materialistic conditioned souls speculate that Lord is one of them. Out of their ignorance, they think that Lord is affected by matter, although he is unattached. But not affected by the qualities of material nature, even though he's in contact with them. Similarly, devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord do not become influenced by material qualities. Just like we have example of Prabhupada. Prabhupada was asked by a taxi driver, "Are you from India? Can you make some magic?" Prabhupada said, "You put me in a room filled with naked women, but he is not attracted by their beauty, he is attracted by their devotion." Tam me nire bala mudha strainam chanu vratamvarah pramana vido bhartur isharam matayo yatha. The simple and delicate women truly supreme control. They thought that Krishna is actually attracted to them because of their beauty, their charm, and everything. And Krishna was behaving also like a handpicked husband. But actually, they were not aware of his glory. So, were they ignorant? Yes, they were ignorant, but not like us. Like Prabhupada used to tell, atheists and gopis both don't agree Krishna is Supreme Lord. Atheistic people, they say Krishna is not Supreme. Gopis also say Krishna is not Supreme. But the difference is, gopis are saying not Krishna is not Supreme under internal energy. I smile at him and he runs behind me. But actually, he was not running behind because of their smile. He was running behind them because of their devotion. And this is the climax. So this is where the whole chapter climax. I'll just summarize quickly. We began with the entry of Krishna into Dwarka, how he blew the conch shell, and there are three metaphors given. First is the touch swans, which actually play with the lotus flowers, like the lotus feet of Krishna, and become extremely pure. Then we went ahead. As we went ahead, all the Dwarkavasis came in, gave their gifts. Prostitutes, we discussed about how even in the Vedic times there was a custom of having prostitutes, but what kind of discussed. Then we went straight into the palace where all the devotees dropped everything and ran towards Krishna. And finally, we came to Krishna's parents' house where the mothers were feeling extreme affection for Krishna. And then we went ahead. You can see the like a camera following Krishna. Finally, we went into Krishna's personal inner chamber where the queens were there. And before a conditioned soul can imagine, oh, so now Krishna is attracted to his wives just like I am attracted to my wife. Acharyas have told, or Shukadeva Goswami says, don't think that Krishna was like us. Was such a wonderful person. Even when he kills, he delivers them. What to speak of if he embraces or he serves some devotees. So that is the climax. I'm extremely sorry. I think I went about 25 minutes ahead, 15-20 minutes ahead. But I wanted to make justice to this chapter. Thank you very much for your patient listening. I'm actually grateful to all devotees who have tolerated me for past my endeavor to serve you. Please, I apologize. And thank you very much. Any devotee has any question, I may try to probably answer it. Thank you. Vipin Rajesh Prabhu is here. Vipin Bihari Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Pranam,
Okay, so
Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, your voice was breaking throughout the talk, Prabhuji. Is it possible to get a recording of today's class?
Definitely, Mataji. I will talk to Vipin Rajesh Prabhu.
Yes.
And I will make sure
because unless I hear it, I cannot answer the quiz because I don't know. There was some movement over there. Please. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Yes, Mataji. Thank you very much. Okay, Prabhus, I think Mataji and Prabhus, you'll be getting a link for the quiz. In case the audio was not well, you can ask Vipin Rajesh Prabhu. He will share you the link. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.